Hey guys, so we're going to do a spirit talk. I'm going to talk about something dear to my heart. We're going to talk about Marilyn Monroe a little bit. Now, no, I'm not going to do any readings on anything as far as, and I know some people probably would be curious what I would get. Was there an affair, or how, was, the controversy around her passing. I want to say one thing. No, I will never read on that. Why? Um, because that to me, poor Marilyn Monroe, her spirit has not been let rest since she passed in 1962. And to even go in there and try to read her spirit and open that door, I feel this is a spirit who has probably dealt with that crap. I can only imagine how many psychics have bothered her and mediums over the years. I can imagine. Okay, which I know we all want answers and we all wish we knew, and various things. And you know what? Let's put it this way. Okay, say she had an affair with the Kennedy or not. That's her business. Okay, that's her business, and um, you know, just let her. This woman can't rest in peace. She can't rest in peace, and and I'm going to talk about something, just how badly she can't rest in peace, which some of you may be aware of this. I know there's been some TikToks. Matter of fact, this article talks about it. There's been some TikToks over the years about the topic, but there are a lot of people who don't even know about this. Okay, um, and then but it's good. I would love to be one of those who kind of gets this out there. But the reason I'm going to talk about this is there is a new Netflix movie called Blonde, and they pretty much admitted there's a lot of fiction, a lot of assumptions playing around in this movie. And there's even apparently the actress who plays her, whatever her name is, claimed a little bit of maybe paranormal activity. She claims that she swears that Marilyn Monroe's spirit was hovering around this. Like maybe she liked one thing. And I think if Marilyn Monroe's spirit was, and maybe it was throwing things off around walls and stuff. But I'll tell you, I definitely would feel her spirit would like that movie at all. Okay, because there's a lot, definitely a lot of exploitive and sex and this and that to tantalize the masses, and there's a lot of fiction and assumptions anyway, and nobody's going to get a straight story from that movie. It's really just get views and get people to watch Netflix and all that. It's incredibly exploitive, and a lot of people have definitely said don't see it, and I'm not going to be one of those who watch it. If there was some kind of decent documentary on Marilyn Monroe, yeah, I would mind looking into something, but this is more just to exploit her spirit for money. And just think of the people that have made money on Marilyn Monroe over the years. Okay? And you know what? As I thought about this, I'm not even going to monetize this video because I don't want $1 talking about Marilyn Monroe. I'm not even going to exploit her spirit by making this statement, so I'm not even going to monetize this video. That's how strongly I feel about it. Okay, but let's talk about something. This is the thing that so there's some TikToks that have talked about this, and I want to, and I'm glad they talk about it because there are so young people, many people who are born as see Marilyn Monroe in and everything. Many people are very drawn to her. One, she of course she's very beautiful, but I don't think that's the ultimate draw why people are drawn to her, especially women, because there's a definitely kind of anybody who has some kind of empath ability senses something, in her images, in her spirit. There's a delicacy there, there's an innocence there, there's a vulnerability there, but yet there was a strength there. There was a superpower, and she knew how to work her sexuality when she wanted to, but yet at the same time we do know she wanted to be respected as an actress, and she was taking on tougher roles and doing her best. There's a whole lot there, a whole lot to unpack, but in her, in her spirit. But let's talk about something. In her death, this is one of the things that is very sad. So we know that she has her final resting place, and one of the things about it, there's kind of a thing back there. Joe DiMaggio, obviously he had bought the resting places, and some people you may know, especially if you're older, that he always makes sure fresh roses are put on that grave. That was set up to happen pretty much every day. Okay, but and you would think, wow, that's very respectful, but there's a lot of disrespect around that crypt. Now, one, Hugh Hefner later, bought a crypt, and he's dead and gone, and lays next to her. And if anybody knows that history, she is the first, that was ever featured on Playboy, or on the first Playboy, and there was a battle with those two, as far as when he was able to get a hold of some photos she did before she got, became a big star. She posed nude on calendars and did some things. He was able to get those photos. I think he only maybe paid maybe $500. I mean, it was not much money at all. He got those photos. And so she was coming up bigger as a star, and she tried to fight him not to post her photos. But he owned them, and he was able to post her photos. And I can only imagine what the Playboy, if anybody has that first issue, is probably worth. It's probably worth ridiculous amount of money. Okay. So they, but she tried to not have those photos posted in that magazine, and it was. So the fact that he, later, and it was further later in life, he was able to buy a plot next to her for only about 75 grand. Think of the concept of that. It is pretty, sad. Okay, so there's a little exploitation there, but that's not the worst of it, which this article kind of talks about. And here it is. When Playboy founder, this is in the Daily Dot. When Playboy founder Hugh Hefner died in 2017, reports revealed that Hefner would be buried next to Marilyn Monroe at the Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary in Los Angeles, which some saw as a painted nod to past history. Monroe appeared on the cover of the first ever issue of Playboy. There it is. While others interpreted it as exploitive. Yeah, sure. And of course, they're talking about, a little bit, the TikToks talk about all this and stuff. But a video posted by Rosie Grant, so let me give credit, a digital archives intern, highlighted the connection between the two as SCA's I Hate You plays in the background. So she's got a little I Hate You music. And then she says, to whoever sold Hugh Hefner the grave next to Marilyn Monroe, shitty of you. A caption on TikTok. And definitely, but you know what? Money, And, but think of that. There was, like I said, she did not want to be in that Playboy magazine. And then he, obnoxious, and I'm sure, oh yeah, Marilyn Monroe, he probably did idolize her and think that, but he also knew that she did not want to be in his magazine. Okay, she helped get him started. And there it is. Hefner revealed in 2009 that he purchased the plot next to Monroe back in 1992 for $75,000. Although Hefner never actually met Monroe, they spoke once by phone, but Monroe died in 1962 before Hefner came out to Los Angeles. He described the move in a 2012 KCAL interview as, I will be spending the rest of my eternity with Marilyn. Think about this. You have to obviously, the Playboy bunnies and all this, been around all the many beautiful women, and of course many have been in his magazine, but that's the one woman he wants to lay next to, right? That's the one woman he couldn't have, but he wants to try to have her in her death. Think of the concept of this. She did not want to be in that fucking magazine. And even then, as he owned those damn photos and could do what he wanted with them, because that's the way things were back then, that he has to own the plot next to her. Okay, do you think she wants to lay next to his shriveled ass, and especially the way he exploited women, which, obviously she was a sex symbol, but she still did not say exploitation. She was still, she when she was getting up and doing movies and everything, I don't feel she was exploiting herself, and stuff, but there are those who try to exploit her and everything like that. Okay, and so there's the thing, but that's not the worst of it. That's not the worst of this crypt with Marilyn Monroe. Okay, so let me get to it and everything, but just think of the concept. But yeah, she was, just to give a tip, when she did these photos, these nude photos before she became a star, she got paid like $50. Think of the concept. Just what he made and stuff. So this is terrible. So anyway, but the big thing is this, and this is one of the things that is very horrific, is above Marilyn Monroe's crypt, okay, is a man named Richard Concher. Now, apparently, if I read correctly, doing a little research, him and his wife, he was a married man, okay, knew the DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe around then, and somehow, I don't know if Joe, DiMaggio, somehow he was able to buy the plot of both Marilyn Monroe. Okay, so this is a married, and he requested to be buried face down above her grave. So he is known as the man with the eternal smile. So he gets to lay on top of Marilyn Monroe, as if almost in a sexual position, staring down at her, but like in a sexual position, like we're a missionary position. Marilyn Monroe is laying here in the crypt, and he gets to lay right above her. Think of the concept of this poor woman. What she can't even. Okay, so she's got this jackass above her, laying face down. Okay, it's like a sexual thing. It really is creepy and disgusting. And then she's got Hugh Hefner, who got her photos, and she didn't want her. She only got $50 for those photos back in the day. She was struggling, probably trying to make it. Yeah, so there's no love lost between these two. But he, just like he said, he made that statement. All the women, he, God knows, and everything he's had surrounding him, but that's the one, okay, that he wanted to eternally lay next to. The one who was on his first magazine. And I'm sure she would not have wanted that. But it doesn't matter. He has $75,000 to buy the crib, and some jackass let him do it. So think about her poor remains in this crypt. And I know some people probably think, oh, how nice DiMaggio, but they have a good marriage. And there's some things there with some domestic violence in there. Okay, just there's bits in there. But just to think, everybody, oh, he respects her so much, put these roses there. She's not being respected in that gravesite, guys. She's not. She's got some jackass laying face above her. He probably, and this is somebody who was married. Now, there's a whole thing with that later, the wife tried to sell that crypt. I think she even went on eBay, for $500,000, all this stuff, and then deals fell through. So he's still above there. So she actually did. She was going to sell it, so she's going to make a little money off of it. So even she's going to exploit it, the whole situation. She probably did want his house off there. Maybe she did. Oh, let's just make a little money off this thing. And whatever, things fell through and he's still there. But just think of this. Think of this, guys. So when if you're like, oh, I would like to see that movie. I really like Marilyn Monroe. I would like, don't feed Netflix, to watch this actress and whatever. And I'm not even going to necessarily blame the actress who plays the role, because she's probably like, wow, I get to play Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, I get that. Okay, but she's also being exploited to exploit Marilyn Monroe. And it's just, just think of this kind. It doesn't make you sick when I tell you this story, guys. I guess I have a little bit. Let me kind of talk about, just a little, especially why I feel very passionate when it comes to anything with Marilyn Monroe. Back in the day, when I was a little girl, my dad had once built this fish tank in the kind of in the kitchen area. It was a pretty big kitchen, and he had mirrors up, and he had this fish tank. He did it all by himself. He made a real beautiful little area. Now, on the side of the fish tank, he displayed some of the favorite books. My parents were avid book readers. We didn't have internet, right? And you only had a few channels on TV. So, their favorite books, hardbound covers, displayed some of the best ones. And, Marilyn, the book by Norman Mailer, my mom had that book, it had beautiful photos of Marilyn Monroe. So I'm a child. I remember pulling it out. And I want you to kind of think of how a child kind of sees Marilyn Monroe. So I've got a very kind of a childlike depiction when I think about that book and the way I perceive, images, one, that empath kind of energy, and just even look at her, and this is before any kind of, where a little girl would go through any kind of insecurity with appearance. So I'm not going to say they don't. I don't. Maybe I'm like 5, 6, and I'm looking at the books, and there are some nudes in there, but that really wasn't a big deal to me. But just looking how pretty she was and how she glowed, she looked like an angel to me. She looked like an angel, and I would just look. And I looked at that book for hours as a child, just looking, and I could read a little bit and everything, so I could kind of understand. I actually picked up reading pretty quick, but I definitely kind of understood, just kind of looking at the images. Wow, she's really beautiful. She's so amazing and everything. Like I said, I looked at her like she was an angel. But also, I could definitely sense it, and there were some things in there in the story, some sadness there, things, I could definitely see the sadness, and some of the, they got some really good photos of her in that book, that kind of depict some deep emotion, that she had, and her struggles, and I knew she had died, and things like that. So, but there's also a little bit there because, my mom, I wish my photo albums, I've got a whole bunch of stuff because I wanted to show a photo, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff in front of the photo album, so I would have to pull a bunch of stuff out. We're going to be moving soon, so I would show a photo. But just to give, she used to bleach her hair. She was technically strawberry blonde, so she would bleach her hair. She wore it about the length Marilyn Monroe did. I'm sure there was a little of admiration of Marilyn Monroe. And my mom also had kind of blue-green eyes. They were kind of blue-green, gray-green. They were kind of a mix of that. And so, basically blonde hair, blue eye. My mom was. And, we could. So, I kind of connected the two kind of in a way. But, my mom and I, we sat there and we looked at the book together and looked at, she would tell me about who she was and things. But I definitely kind of saw, my mother a little bit like that, like blonde hair, blue eyed, and, and everything. And my mom was real super pretty. She was a very beautiful woman. And what's kind of sad is she may have not realized and recognized that she was. Definitely, there's a whole lot I can unpack on there, which I don't want to get all emotional about it right now. But definitely, I was, I would draw pictures of my mom constantly, and everything with that little blonde hair, and I'd make her all pretty, and I would give her, I was constantly drawing her. I mean, I drew so many pictures, family pictures, pictures of my mom. My mom is so pretty, this, that. I did that as a child and stuff, constantly doing that. She loved it and everything. So, but, so I kind of connect the two in mind as a little kid, with the blonde hair, the blue eyes, but also not only that, as Marilyn Monroe, kind of this star and everything, and has this beauty, but the depression. Okay, and I definitely picked up on that in the books and in the little bits I could read, but I could really tell by the photos that were being expressed in that book, kind of showing there was some deep wounding there. And I also connected that, yes, with my own mom, because as my little empath self, and the marriage was not a good one with my mother and father, the depression. Okay, so I almost, in a way, saw them similar. So, I've got this kind of, I've got that childlike mind that does this in my psyche with Marilyn Monroe and my own mother. Blonde hair, blue eye, very pretty, beautiful, but very kind of delicate flowers in some way. Also dealt with depression, difficulty in relationships, and various things. And definitely she had difficulty in relationships and various things. The prescription pills, I hate to say, yes, I remember the dresser being full of them. Okay, the dresser being full of them. The drinking, yes, there was that, a whole lot of that too. So I connect these two for me, even though I know Marilyn Monroe is not my mother, the parallels are so striking to me in my mind because of what I did as a child, paralleling them in my psyche, that when I see Marilyn being exploited, it's almost like I see my mother being exploited. And think about that. If Marilyn Monroe was your mother, would you want to see this fucking Netflix movie about her? that these people are making, or this shit with her grave, okay, that would anger you, right? If that was your mother. And there could be some people who think that's fucking cute or cool. Ooh, Hugh Hefner's so lucky, or this jackass who laid above her. But it's not cute, and it's not cool, and it's very disgusting and exploitive. And like I said, this actress, if she sent some anger with Marilyn Monroe's ghost, that's probably not a fiction. Okay? And I doubt she was happy. Oh, look, she approves of that. I doubt she did. This woman needs to rest in peace. Like I said, that's why. So that's why just to explain, even for me, it's just a little deeper than just about Marilyn Monroe, because of what I connect, even in my own childhood, even, the way I used to lock these, my mother and her together in some kind of way. And definitely, but even my mom, when she showed me, she was very respectful about her and would talk about her in a very respectful way, like she really loved and admired her and stuff like that. Was she trying to be her a little bit with the bleach? I don't know. I don't know, but, back then, 50s and all that, as far as what she kind of grew up in, the blonde bombshells were definitely a big thing. And she colored her hair blonde all her life till the day she died. And stuff. Even when she was battling cancer, she still dyed that hair blonde. Okay, so there's kind of there's kind of that thing and stuff. So yeah, so I'm not gonna watch it. I encourage you guys. I won't be mad at you if you do. Okay, I won't be mad at you if you do watch it. But I just wanted to kind of know about that little bit there. And I'm glad there's some people out there kind of getting that knowledge out. I know there's not a whole hell lot we can do about it. I mean, unfortunately, I wish we could. I wish we could petition so she could just sit by her damn self. I mean, I think, God, wouldn't that be great if she could be put in a place by her lonesome without any of these freaking men trying to mess with her, even her poor corpse, her poor spirit. It's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting, guys. So, but yeah, there's a whole lot you can look up on that, and it's kind of a sad thing. But yes, it's easy, and that's why I'm gonna say something on it, and just because I my memory, like I said, my memory Monroe goes all the way back then. And I think about that. Everybody has their own when you first saw her or had some impression, especially with as young girls or anything, or say if you're a guy, even impressions and stuff, about her, just the mark she kind of made on this world and on us, and everything. But she was still, I mean, there's still a lot about it. I mean, you think about it, she still had power, but still constantly being exploited, constantly being exploited. And the poor woman was used and abused in so many ways. So, but yeah, I see, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed, I'm not going to do it. I see a lot. When I look at Marilyn and my mother, it's sometimes they blur to me. They blur a little bit to me, in that, because there are similarities. Like I said, the beauty, they were both very beautiful, both blonde hair, blue, and but still, there's tragedy, there's the depression, the suffering, the difficulty relationships, the prescription drugs, the numbing, because that's what back in the day, women, it hates, we know it still goes on, but the housewives, of the 50s, 60s, 70s, go to the doctor, and they get a little Xanax, a little something, and everything. Yeah, now she had tons of pills. Absolutely. Even after quitting drinking, she still had those meds. She still had those meds. And really a lot of it, as far as the depression, mental illness, various things, a lot of it really is, childhood trauma, terrible marriages and everything, and to be able to cope and function and maybe work and raise children, having to med up to function. And that's kind of what Marilyn Monroe did. She had to, to try to function, she's taken all these meds just to be able to function, to do a job You know, which we know there's definitely stories that which are pretty validated, showing up late, pissing directors off. We know she was doing that, especially towards the end, because yeah, she's trying to function and popping all these pills, and the doctors are all giving her things, you know, and dealing with the stress of everything that she's been through. It's a very sad story. I wish I could have picked a better story, but and I wish I would play the Elton John song right now, but you know, I don't want to get a strike and everything, or I would definitely play that song for her to give her some respect. But maybe we should all do that. Maybe after you guys, if you did watch it, I don't know how much this will get watched. You know, go play that Elton John song, because I think that's, you know, out of all of the crap that's been done by Hollywood over the years, and I know there's various people who've kind of you know, there are some things that have been done respectful, great. But that is probably one of the most respectful things that ever was by anyone in Hollywood done for Marilyn Monroe was Elton John's song and everything. Goodbye, Norma Jean. That is probably one of the most, you know, classy, respectful things ever done. You know, and I was thinking that, you know, Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe. You guys do know she was Gemini, right? Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe, the two personas, the Gemini twins, absolutely. But she was also Leo rising as well. Leo rising, you know, power, you know, and everything. And it really kind of paved the way. You know, she still paved the way for other people, but, you know, it's still, you know, she battled those two personas. Definitely Gemini, you know, that was her. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this spirit talk. Sorry, it's a little bit depressing, but it needs to be heard.